I don't know how many people are going to view this, but I really need to get this off my chest because I just can't believe the absolute state of corporate America. It's so surreal. I come from Eastern Europe and we look towards America as a beacon of light and freedom. And I am telling you, if the people that are alive today would create a new state, like let's say they manage to colonize the moon and they create America 2.0, it would be the most fascistic, the most dictatorial, the most authoritarian place that mankind has ever seen. They would control their population like their little robots, like their little machine. I mean, the concept of human rights probably wouldn't even exist. And what am I talking about? The only reason that I think America has freedom is because of the people that came before. It's your founding fathers, the people that actually fought in World War II so that you guys can have freedom. But I don't think like America is free because of the people who are in power right now. I mean, they are creating this culture where censorship is a good thing. Every single problem that exists in society, every single idea that they disagree with has to be censored. And they're finding legal ways to do this, usually laundering the censorship through the private sector. But it's like the average individual, like the average person that works at Patreon. And their mind is like, how can we manipulate people? How can we convince people to support what we want to support? So Patreon, like what is in essential? It's a company that thought, all right, let's make it easy for people to get money from their fans. Like if you're an artist, if you're a political commentator, if you're an author, we are just going to gather money from your fans, give it to you, and take a cut. Right? Like they're not really the ones paying you. They're not the ones that are giving you money. They're not your boss. They're just like the middleman, right? But eventually the middleman got some very interesting ideas. I mean, if you actually listened when there was the controversy with Sargon of Akkad, they actually said that they are paying you. So now they can gatekeep. Now they can influence people. And of course, it started with political commentators, but I know artists. Like the things that I hear, from artists regarding Patreon is something that I would expect in communist China to happen. Like they are issued a liaison from Patreon who then tells them where they are allowed to post their art, what they're allowed to draw, what they're allowed to do, what they're allowed to say, if they want to have access to the money that their fans give to them. And the question is like, why don't they move? Right? Because it's a good question. I mean, there are alternatives. There's Subscribestar, for example. And the reason for this is that it's very difficult to move. Once you have an income and once you rely on them, most of your subscribers do not do the transition. They do not go from Patreon to Subscribestar for various reasons, right? So now they have to play ball. I mean, it is absolutely disgusting. So the way this started, like the way Patreon started, was to attract people, right? Like, oh no, we're free. Like we're not political. We're not trying to manipulate people. We're just a big platform. We just want you to do business. We're selling a product, okay? We're not a political company. We're just selling a product. Everyone can come over here and they can get the product. And once people came and they realized that the people are hooked and they invested a lot of human energy into this, they're like, I gotcha, my pretties. I'm going to manipulate you like the little puppets that you are. You're going to do things our way. You are now corporate slaves to the Patreon master. Isn't that fucked up though? Like, no, think about it. Isn't that really messed up, what they're doing? Is it moral? Of course, you can say, well, the artists are to blame. The political commentators are to blame for still being on Patreon, serves them right. I mean, I guess you can make that argument. But like what I'm trying to say is that this is the morality of the people running American culture right now. Like they're doing this and they're viewing it as a good thing. Like it's a good thing that a multi-billion-dollar corporation is trying to manipulate people. Like they're cheering this on. This is fascism. This is what Benito Mussolini would have wanted. Like if you actually read fascist writings, not just look at on TV and like, no, actually study the ideology. This is it. This is literally it. It's companies and governments working hand in hand for the betterment of society. So why am I making this video? Well, apparently Cindy Watson, which is a big YouTuber. I think she's got like 700,000 viewers. Recently posted that she got banned from Patreon. Now, no reason was given. I mean, why should they give a reason? They're Patreon. You know, it's like talking about the church. Like, why would the church give a reason to the peasant? And they said that she did the hate speech. Now, it's not posted anywhere where she did this infamous hate speech. She's not being told. Apparently, she wasn't even posting on Patreon, but who cares? I mean, Patreon gets to stalk you off-site. They fucking stalk you like the Stasi. They come after you to see what you're doing off their platform, right? So she got everything taken away from her. And also, there's this guy, Josh Lecca, for having the audacity to, in his free time, go to InfoWars. Now, I'm willing to bet that if the things are going down this path, you might have like an artist, like someone who's not even doing politics, and he's going to be in the park, and he's going to say something that Patreon doesn't like, and someone will record him, and then I will put that online to Patreon, and he's going to get the platform. Like, you're going to live like, you're going to get the Nazi Germany experience, you know, like when the Gestapo has informers, and if you say something, like someone can rat you out, you're going to get that experience. Thank you, Patreon. Oh, that is so great. And to be honest, like, it's not really Patreon that bothers me. It's this new generation that generally thinks this is good. Like, this is a good country to live in. This is a good society to live in. And they come up with the excuse, well, it's not censorship because it's not coming from the government. Well, you're normalizing it, aren't you? And then they're the same people that freak out when Florida passes the Don't Say Gay bill. Hey, it's like, what's happening? Well, you normalize censorship. You know, isn't the left the ones that came up with the concept of normalization? Like, if you normalize something in society, if people get censored every single fucking day, when they go online, they get censored by Facebook, they get censored by Twitter, they get censored for making a joke, they get censored for trivial shit, and they're okay with censorship, then they're going to vote for legislation that promotes censorship, and you're going to be like, oh my god, but now is the government doing it? Yes! Who do you think makes the government? Isn't it the people? Isn't it the people? So if you normalize in the people's heads that censorship of people they disagree with is okay, don't go Pikachu face when they vote for legislation that censors your ass, or censors the things you like, or the people you like. Because that's how it freaking works. God! I can't believe people are this stupid, you know? I guess like they get a whiff of power and they think it will never happen to them. I mean, do you guys even remember who brought censorship to the internet? Because I know it's hard to believe, but like 6 years ago, if you were to have Reddit admins removing posts from people, like, everyone would freak out. They would say, what is this fascistic nonsense? What are you doing? There was big pushback in the early stages against censorship, but feminists were the first that brought censorship to the internet. That's why it's called the Trust and Safety Council, because it was to keep little girls safe on the internet. I'm not even joking. Like, that's how it started. You know, like online bullying, online harassment. That's how it started. So it was the feminists that pushed the concept of censorship. Do you know who's getting censored now? Feminists. If you get labeled a trans exclusionary radical feminist, you get your ass censored. Off of Twitter, Patreon can deplatform you, so on and so forth. Who brought this ideology? Who's getting censored? You know, this is why we have principles. It's not to allow other people to do bad things by using your principles against them. No, it's so that they can protect you as well. That's why free speech is important. It's like, because I want to speak. Okay? It's not to protect someone that I disagree with, but by protecting that person, that I can also justify why I should be protected when I make an edgy joke, which is the most dangerous thing you can do in current year. So, it's going to come around. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Vosh, who's also on Patreon. Now, of course, the terms of service are never going to be applied equally, because it's not hypocrisy, it's a hierarchy. And right now, Vosh is useful, but his usefulness is going to go over. I mean, Destiny is another example. You know, Destiny was useful 4 years ago. Now he's not. It's going to come a time when there's going to be a principle that you disagree with, when you're going to build an audience that's not going to agree with the current timeline, and they're not going to agree with your takes, even if you try to just mouth off to the powers that be. It's like, well, whatever the current thing is, you support it. It's going to be a current thing that you can't support, or your audience isn't going to support. and you're going to be in trouble. Like Vosh, for example, the reason I bring him up is that on Women's Day, he told J.K. Rowling to shut the fuck up and sit down. You know, like that's misogynistic, I would say. And look, if he disagrees with her, that's fine. He should have let a woman handle that, right? Because that's the feminist way of dealing with it. Like, you as a man, you're mansplaining, you're being misogynistic. He lost subscribers because of that, but he's still on Patreon. Why? Because the terms of service don't apply. Now, on terms of service on Patreon, you're not allowed to be misogynistic. Unless you're Vosh. Then you can be misogynistic. Maybe Patreon hasn't seen it yet. And by the way, I don't even want Vosh deplatformed. Like, I don't care. You know, I generally don't care. Like, okay, so if Vosh gets deplatformed, how does it improve my life? No, it doesn't, right? So I don't give a fuck. You know, I'm not trying to start a political movement. I'm not changing the world. I just try to make people laugh. But it is very concerning to see how the rights of the individual get restricted more and more, and everyone else is cheering. And, oh, yeah, that's such a good thing. Yes, of course, like, the unelected people at Patreon should have the power to destroy people's livelihoods. You don't even know who those people are. You don't even know their faces. You don't even know their names. You don't even get to have a say in who gets hired to do this. If they have any certain political leanings or not. No, but it's fine. And again, it's not about Patreon. This is what I want to mention. It's not about Patreon. Literally every single corporation that does this is being cheered on. They cheer on when the banks do it. They cheer on when other platforms, Facebook does it, Twitter does it. Everyone cheers and claps. And it's like, oh, it's such a good thing. Yes, more. Empower these companies even more. Make them more powerful. And in the sick mind of some communists on Twitter, they legitimately think that this is going to get like the communist revolution. And like people are going to overthrow the system. No, you're going to get the cyberpunk dystopia. That's what you're going to get. By constantly empowering corporations. Like, what do you think? It's like at the end of the day, do you think the average Joe is going to be more likely to rise up, or is he going to just subject? He's going to subject. Whatever, you know, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think, though. And by the way, I do have a subscribe star. You know, just because I don't shill it, I don't wanna bother you. You know, with every video like, hey, donate to my subscribe star. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, do consider supporting my channel on Subscribestar. I would really appreciate it. If you're on Patreon and you want to make the transition, I would appreciate that as well. I don't like using Patreon, but it does use PayPal, so I understand why some people want to go there. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I'll see you in the comment section. And yeah, if you like the channel, please consider clicking the link to my Subscribestar and supporting me there. Thank you very much, and have a good day.